Well, I'm back again in Kansas City after traveling to Finland, traveling for my master's, and so being a part of the Kansas City art community is such a huge thing for me. And why specifically Kansas City Artist Coalition is that it has felt so accessible and so friendly. I went to one of the coffee talks back when I had first come back to Kansas City, and I was not in a super great place. Honestly, it was such a struggle to reacclimate to the United States and back to my home community. It didn't super feel like home, but to go to this gathering of artists and to have those conversations felt I didn't feel awkward like those things can sometimes feel like, and that gave me such a boost of encouragement to apply to show my work in a really vulnerable moment. And then the application was free, which is honestly such a huge barrier of entry for so many art institutions. It's just the access. So yeah, just to be able to reintegrate into what I consider my home, the Midwest, in such an accessible way is super cool. I don't really have an art education, to be honest. I have my BA and MA in communications, and I am actually in 3 weeks going to start my PhD in communication studies as well. I am a UMKC alum, and also my MA is from Purdue Fort Wayne, and I'm going to move to West Virginia for my PhD. Like I said, I wouldn't say I'm completely removed from the arts. I did get a minor in studio art, and that is a story in itself. And then my master's is in arts-based research. And then last year I was in Finland supported by a Fulbright grant at Aalto University, and I studied arts-based research there in the doctoral department of art and media studies. So yeah, I've always kind of been tangential in a very philosophical way to art and arts-based research. So I've had this philosophical, theoretical approach to art, and then in my career at least, and then almost as aside from my formal career, I've always had an arts practice. As far as painting goes, I started painting the abstracts in 2020, and that's kind of been my painting practice. But before that, I guess my abstracts were a reaction to other work that I had that was very much language and conceptual based. So that all that theoretical learning and all of that research based art philosophy practice, that was very much typography or concept or performance art that I've had. So I've dabbled in a lot of those mediums that are very heady, very conceptual. And I just kind of had to take this route in response to just an oversaturation of concept-based art. A lot of my work is inspired by Helen Frankenthaler and her body of work. And oftentimes I'll see colors in the world or little swatches or compositions that are super bright or that catch my eye. It's usually I actually don't start with an idea of what a canvas is going to look like. This one, I was thinking about composition more than anything. The idea of constriction, which I had seen in my inspiration. And so I was just starting with these large shapes and how they were constricting across the canvas, here especially, and then up top. And then just going from there, and how can constriction work across the canvas. So that was kind of unique, but in this case, it happened to work. And this is one of my favorite pieces, especially considering that I don't plan out my pieces, but I have been starting to play with this idea of pressing down or constricting in the composition. Honestly, I am not aiming to put a message in this. I think that's kind of the beauty of abstract art, and what I'm going for is abstract art is kind of a Rorschach where the audience can see whatever they want to see, and I have purposefully not made a message on this, and that is kind of my message, that they can make things because they're pretty, or they can see whatever they want to see in it. Oh gosh, what's next? That is such a good question. So like I said, I'm moving to West Virginia in getting back into academia, which is like this weird juxtaposition with my art practice, which is so kind of anti-academia. And so I'm really excited to see how that kind of pushes my practice to a new level. Like, can I continue painting, and how am I going to have that relationship with academia? So I don't know. I don't know what's next. I mean, I have a whole nother roll of canvas, so I guess I'm going to fill that guy up.